Zaya, Zaya, Zaya. This is all that I've been hearing from people for the last week or so. People, especially friends with kids, have been really asking me what I think about this. And honestly, it's always hard to get into topics like these, especially when I'm going through things of my own, because it means, like a sanitary specialist or a plumber, I have to go in deep dive into deep doo-doo and willingly take on some of the most vile and repugnant sentiments written in comments that you could imagine. And speaking from a serious perspective, I had other topics that I planned to take on, but this is not some clout chasing, oh no, I gotta get to the story first kind of BS. I wanted to see how the story fleshes out so that people's opinions are properly pinned so that they can be properly and precisely picked apart. And there's been so much clamoring around the situation that I feel needs to be addressed, so let's just get into it. So while there are so many positive, supportive people, and also people who are really of the opinion of, hey, that's they family, they do what they want to do, I mind the business that pays me. Of course, there are a large amount of people who feel absolutely, in every way possible, 110% opposed to Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's support of their child and their decision to be themselves. And reading through comment after comment after thread, I feel as though I've been able to digest and distill the prevailing thoughts behind these points of view, and as expected, most people have no real understanding about transness, or pronouns, gender, orientation, or anything actually, and so it's very easy for people to take emotional viewpoints and become upset out of ignorance. It's all good, we all don't know something about something, so before y'all drop y'all's gavels, let me do my best to speak to some of these concerns. Reason number one.
Man, this child is only 12 years old. Come on now. How can a child whose brain ain't even developed yet say anything like this? Man, it's the parents' responsibility to stop them from making a huge mistake. What is y'all doing?
I agree that 12 is a very young age. There are a lot of things that a 12-year-old would not be expected to do. If I ordered a Lyft and a 12-year-old driver pulled up on me, I probably would order another Lyft. If I was getting a root canal and a 12-year-old dentist came into the room, I would probably find another dentist's office. Because these practices, like driving, or especially dentistry, require years and years of study and experience to be able to do with continued proficiency. But I think that if a person had 12 years of dental experience or 12 years of driving, that they would probably be pretty damn good at doing those things. So when it comes to matters of self, 12 years old means 12 constant years of being yourself, of existing in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. And I think that that's plenty of time to have a very decent idea of who you are in this world. Are you telling me that by 12 years old, you didn't know anything about yourself at all? I'm not talking about your job or what you've learned about the world. I mean about yourself. Because I know for damn sure that I knew a great deal of things about myself as young as 6 to 8 years old. And that's just because those are some of the earliest logical memories that I can bring to mind. D. Wade actually says that his child knew who they were around 3 years old. I feel that we come to this earth with a spirit that speaks to us in ways that only we can understand. How many adults wake up every day to go to jobs that they can't stand, to do work that they don't love just to keep the lights on, knowing damn well that they had an idea of exactly the kind of person that they wanted to become when they were younger, until someone beat the possibility out of them, or punished it out of them, or scared it out of them, or whatever. Love is such a redeeming energy, and honestly, the support that they are giving their child is amazing. And I can only imagine the strength of self, the sense of belonging, and the unwavering confidence that little Zaya is gonna grow up with. As a mother, as a father, what the fuck else would you ever want for your kid than that? Reason number two.
Man, this is delusion. That is their son, not their daughter. Y'all making a huge mistake. I mean, what happened if a few years down the line they realized that this was a phase? Now they can't go back. Man, y'all really setting this kid up for failure.
Or as Boosie, the paragon of eloquence, put it so colorfully,
he might meet a woman, anything, at 16 and fall in love with her. But his dick be gone. How you gonna... Like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his dick off, bro.
I think that it's important for people to understand that from everything that I've read, the child has not done anything but pronounce her name as Zaya and request she and her pronouns. That's it. No more, no less. She hasn't even made mention of medical transition, and people are just instantly equating this statement of truth with surgeries and hormone therapy. If eventually that's something that Zaya wants to do, I'm sure that the millionaire parents that she has will spare no expense going to different doctors and medical facilities to have the proper conversations necessary to evaluate whether or not that would be the next step. But as far as this here moment, y'all's concerns are imaginary and really kind of creepy. Why is y'all so pressed about this kid's junk? Like, I don't even want to bring that up in my mind and people seem fixated on it. And I'm not going to get into the details of how the surgery is performed, but I will say that at that stage of physical development, the extremity of what y'all are thinking is very unlikely and almost impossible. Plus, I really hate that what if ass argument too. I mean, it's so fairy tale. Like, what if you get in your car and you get in an accident one day? Should you never drive again? What if you go to a restaurant and you get food poisoning? Should you never eat again? What ifs could be cast till kingdom come. But in the same way, we can what if negatively, we can what if positively. What if Zaya, being showered with endless love and support from her very, very successful and talented parents, grows up being authentic in a way and to a degree that many children like her could only dream of? What if that eloquent speech of hers is trained up to always speak the truth and gets used to being heard and respected from a very young age? What if she becomes a major mover in the world of business, tech, fashion, or entertainment? Riddle me that and save me all the glass is half empty rhetoric. I'm not saying that it's not valid to worry about potential pitfalls or setbacks that a child could have, but I've said this before and I'll say it again.
You know, your child has so many options out here. Like, Dwayne is not operating from a place of lack. He's operating from a place of abundance. And when you're operating from abundance, you just understand that there's abundance of wealth, abundance of opportunity, and abundance of expression in all kinds of ways. So you weak ass niggas that's saying Dwayne need to go ahead and disown his child, y'all niggas need to go ahead and open your mind so maybe you can stop blocking your own blessings and all these other avenues of life. You dig me?
Reason number 3.
I'm trying to be respectful in all of that. But man, this is not normal behavior. Somebody been touching this child. If a kid at this age is old enough to say that they want to change their gender and be taken seriously, then what's the difference of if that same kid says they're ready to be sexually active at that age and wants to give consent? If you support this, you no different from a pedophile.
Look, I know that you feel special and all, and who's to say that you might not even be? But just because you don't do something doesn't mean that it's weird. Some people don't eat meat. Some people eat it every meal of every day and have pizza with beef, bacon, pepperonis, and pineapple on it. Some people, I don't know, bite their nails. And some people think that's weird. There are all kinds of people in this world, and Zaya is not weird, nor does she have to be the product of sexual abuse just to be her damn self. How can somebody say something so brazen about a topic that they have no idea about at all? Reason that I can tell that someone doesn't know anything about transness is that they instantly start to talk about the act of sex whenever it's brought up. The difference between a young person talking about gender as opposed to being sexually active is that gender is about self-expression, which in this case has not manifested itself outside of certain feminine colors, paint on the nails, rings, or scrunchies around the wrist, whereas being sexually active is something that has to be performed with someone else and has serious physical and psychological triggers associated with the act. An act that, even when committed by two fully of age consenting adults, still has several laws and social practices in place to make sure that both parties are safe. This would be like asking, why can't a 12-year-old have a vodka then if the parents say so? Or how about a big old cigar? Well, of all of the unfortunate cases of alcohol poisoning and drunk driving deaths, or how about lung, tongue, and throat cancers, lymphoma or leukemia, among many other cardiovascular diseases, it's not entirely clear that adults are even able to handle these intoxicants. And so there are several laws in place to prohibit misuse from people of all ages. But choosing to wear certain fabrics or clothing cut in certain styles or any characteristic way of speaking, looking, acting, or dressing can never be compared to the clear-cut death toll or hardships of sex, drugs, and alcohol. Even if you do want to claim that the decision is dangerous due to the fact that the number of trans people who harm themselves or attempt suicide is higher than the national average for other groups of people, I would say that Wade and Gabrielle's love-filled approach would be a deterrent of that more than yelling or screaming and disowning their child ever would. That's what causes the turmoil, being cast into the street like a stone at an early age, being forced to do what you gotta do to survive. That's where the strife comes from, not from all of this warmth. No way. Being a trans person has no more to do with sex than being any other type of person. And for y'all to be the ones who are instantly sexualizing anything that this child does, y'all are the ones who are exhibiting some kind of weird pedophilic obsession. The difference between gender and sexuality is drawn in the sand quite clearly. And just because Zaya is Zaya doesn't mean that she's trying to be sexually active. It doesn't even necessarily mean that she likes boys. It has nothing to do with sexuality and only means that she is Zaya. Reason number 4.
This is an agenda to destroy our black masculinity. A black boy wants to go and wear locks to school, and he gets told that he cannot graduate, but if he go and puts on a dress, then the world applauds him. Black people do not condone this, and we are not on board with this European mess.
I don't like to hear stories of any person, especially any child, being treated unfairly as a result of their natural expression. As a black man who has been on the journey of locking for over the past 13 years, which is longer than many of y'all who started wearing locks because of Lil Wayne, of course I feel strongly about children who are treated as if there's something wrong with their natural choice to express themselves through the style of locks. But locking is definitely a process. It's considered a natural hairstyle, but unless it's done in the neglect method, meaning you just let your hair clump up, it's far from a naturally occurring style. I remember getting my hair like this because the maintenance of an afro and braids was so much that I thought that getting locks would be a lot easier. But actually, no, it's not. It's actually a lot more maintenance to keep clean, especially at this length. So I say that to say this. It's not a natural occurrence to have locks. It's a choice that, as other people who are not black, white people, look at it, you could just cut it off to be more presentable in the way that we deem is acceptable. Now, black people feel very, very against this sentiment of change yourself to fit the norm, which is really our norm, again, white people, but then can turn around and say this exact thing to trans, lesbian, and gay people whom are also black living in our communities. People want to say that these ways of being are unnatural and are a choice. Well, I would say that they're much less of a choice than your hairstyle, but the principle of being told that you're wrong because of you being who you are, especially when that being in no way at all harms anyone around you, that's when we gotta call bullshit on it. People wanna act like this gets more support than other black issues, when 9 times out of 10, the people who are using that justification are not doing anything themselves to help anyone outside of themselves in any of the ways that they say need more attention than this. It's just justification for hate. You can't tell me that your heart is not full of hate if you would say something like, I would disown my child, or I would beat his ass, or kill him if he came to me saying something like this. That's just deep-rooted ignorance and pain. Fear and ignorance is the recipe for hate, and a lot of y'all are iron chefs with those ingredients. By the way, the recent boy who was the victim of that heinous incident about his hair did actually receive national support and coverage. As a matter of fact, Ellen DeGeneres, the same person who brought Wade on to speak positively about his family, also brought on DeAndre Arnold to speak positively to his situation as well, ultimately awarding the boy something like 20 racks toward his education. Alicia Keys was there. They gave him a big old Price is Right check. I mean, it was a whole thing. And so you see, it's possible to support and be against injustices on one side and also stand against injustices on the other side. But some people just want to find cool clothes to dress their hate up in, and it's whack as fuck, bro. Reason number 5. God don't make mistakes. Well, to put it simply, if you are of the opinion that God created everything in the heavens and earth, from the fish of the sea to the fowl of the air to the beasts of the land to the creeping things to us as humans, then you would agree that everything that exists on this earth and beyond is a creation of God. And being that trans people exist all over the world would mean that God was very much not mistaken in creating trans people as well. There's all kinds of people in this world. And I wish that we as a people, and when I say we, I mean Black people especially, could be more able to see beyond the tiny scope of culture. Because there are a lot of things that are rampant in our communities that are much, much worse than this, but much, much less despised on a national scale. But that's the topic of another video, I guess. All in all, if you feel differently about this, then let me know. I'm not afraid to have any conversation with anybody. If you make a point, then I will acknowledge it. But the rules are that you got to do the same. All right? Hit me up.